Okay, here we are once again in the fresh scene, and this time I will show you how to model a rim of the wheel. So if I jump here in my top view, you will see there is an image in my viewport. Okay, and you can load reference images here under edit menu of your viewport and going to configure or simply clicking the shift V shortcut. Okay. So as you can see here, you have some basic options to position and to rotate your image accordingly. Uh, what you notice is that this image is rotated, tilted a bit. I did that on purpose because I want to have at least one straight spoke for reference. And this image is really not really useful to be reference images because it has some perspective distortion, and it's not the photo is not taken straight from the top, and that is really what you need when you have reference images, direct orthogonal shots of your images. So if you're modeling really precise automotive engineering models, then you will have to have blueprints or a really detailed reference images, really correct technical images. Okay, again I want just to show you how to start, how to reference all the techniques I will use. Here many of modelers would start with a cylinder, but if you start with a cylinder has a thickness, so you will be dealing with both sides and intermediate polygons in cylinder, so you basically will have to deal with 3 times as more information, which you actually don't need to do. I would rather start here with a simple disk. Okay, I have my garage shading lines enabled and this isoparm sky enabled. I'll just temporarily switch to wireframe because I will exactly know the amount of geometry I have. Okay, the first and the most obvious thing to do is to just scale this cylinder a bit until I, for example, just cover this reference, this part, because this spoke seems to me as the most straight one. This spoke seems to me that it has the smallest amount of distortion to it. Okay, look at the other ones. So we will basically just do one spoke and simply use some great, absolutely fantastic tools in Cinema 4D to create those other 6. There are 7 all together. Okay. So if there are 7 spokes, then I will have to have at least 7 segments in this cylinder for these spokes, and I will have to have also one segment for each of these intermediate curvatures. Okay, so 7 spokes and 7 spaces in between them. That's 14 segments. Okay, and I don't need these segments, these rotational segments, so I'll just cut it to 1. And you can see I'm working with a primitive object, so I can work only with parameters. So let me just adjust this inner radius until it fits something like this. This seems to me as a base. We scale it a bit more and adjust the inner radius accordingly. Okay, something like this. And I think we are ready to convert it. So let's hit this guy or simply press C. And now comes the most used tool in polygon modeling, and that's the almighty extrude tool. I want to extrude this edge Okay, so simply select it and extrude it until this area. Why? Because you can see there is a change in scale. So simply scale this down a bit and just extrude once more. You really want to just satisfy this basic shape in the start. Don't try to add detail from the beginning. That's the wrong way to go. You certainly run into problems, most certainly. Okay, so now let's subdivide this guy. I'm gonna press the Alt key and make this hypernerves apparent of this disk. So you can see now, let me just turn off this wireframe and enable this isoparm. Okay, so that way we will see only the original geometry of this disk. Okay, as you can see, well, it looks rather good. What I want to do now is the live selection tool. Select these edges, turn off my generator. I really want to cut them in half, so I will do a connect command and it will cut them exactly in half. Let me enable my generator again, and you see we have some more definition. Let me select those two and connect them once, maybe even twice. Okay, so I have enough information to work with later. Okay, I'll just select small this area and select these two vertices and just scale them, just minor adjustments. Okay, really don't want to waste time really pushing these vertices exactly on their place. That's not the point here. Okay, go to my edge mode and I want to select these two guys and simply fill the rest of it and delete it. And some of you may ask, why did I delete it? Well, firstly, I'm not insane to model each disk spoke individually. That's just not the way to do it. And second, I think this shape is good enough for a starting point to build my model upon, but I just want to see how it will look once I clone this object in this radial manner. And for that purpose we can use this array object, but the more powerful and robust option is to use this cloner object under MoGraph menu. Just use this cloner. Don't tinker about this extremely complicated names of this thing is under MoGraph menu. MoGraph is extremely, unbelievably powerful, but just concentrate on this cloner. Cloner object is also a generator, so if you hold down the Alt key and you have something selected here in the object manager, and if you press down while you're holding the Alt key, it will become a parent of that selection. Okay, so use everything you can to simplify your modeling process. Now, some of you say, well, nothing happened. But if I go to my perspective view, you can see that this shape is really cloned, and currently it's cloned in a linear manner. Okay, I want to clone it in the radial manner. Okay, radially, but I want to change the plane in which this radial mode will happen, and you see there is a plane option. So for example, if I change this to ZY, you will see that that's the plane Z and Y, and we actually in this situation need X and Z. So this is X and Z to lie on that two planes. Okay, really simple. And as you can see, we are making progress. Since we have 7 spokes I simply will enter here 7, and I will get 7 spokes, and I'll tune down this radius. If you play around with it, you will see what it does. It basically moves outwards and inwards. We want to go all the way inwards. Okay, and now, since you are absolutely certain that this shape, this spoke, is exactly the same size, exactly the same measure, you can now see how this image is distorted. This perspective image is distorted, and you really cannot use it for a technical reference. For this type of modeling, this let's say creative modeling, creative visualizations, it's really good enough. But for technical representations, in generically correct models, you will have to have blueprints or really good reference images. Okay, so let me just go to my viewport settings. I will simply disable this show picture. I don't really need it right now. I can always re-enable it later. Okay, show picture, hide picture. Okay, currently this cloner object is just simply cloning mathematically this shape radially. And if I hit C for this little guy, I will simply convert it to a polygon object, okay? Which I really want to do. So let me hit C, and you will see that every shape we started with disk, so Cinema named them accordingly, disk 0, and all the way to disk 6. Altogether there are 7 of them, okay? What I want, since there are geometry for them all, they're really individual object, I want to connect them all into a single geometry. We know how to do that. Objects, connect plus delete, and I have a single object, okay? And if I put it under my hypernerves object, you will see we have a problem here. And the problem is, go to my point mode, you see many stray points that are left once I was deleting some parts of the object, okay? But those points, although they lie here on the same position, they are not connected together. So you don't want to manually do that. That's completely insane. What you want to do is you want to select all points. You see, this point actually doesn't lie on this edge. It's somewhere in the space. It's not related to this geometry. What you want to do is you want to run the optimize command, and you will tell Cinema 4D that anything that is below this value or this exact value will be welded together. Okay, so let's try that. Let's try with the default value. So we will hit OK, and we can test if those points are welded if we enable our generator. Okay, and as you can see, there is no break in our geometry, and those points are welded now. Okay, as you can see, we undo that. Okay, well, the next logical thing is simply to add thickness to this object. Okay, we just turn off this isoparse to get rid of that extra geometry. Okay, now I want to select all these faces and simply run the extrude command. Some arbitrary value, like something like this, and I want to have these faces capped. I want to have caps, so I will create caps. So I will have thickness and geometry on both sides. And once you are finished with your extrude tool and you used caps option, just go again and disable that caps. Otherwise you will run into problems possible because you will forget that this setting is on. and I showed you, I illustrated the problem in prior lesson. Okay, so now if I enable my generator, you will see that this spoke is a bit too soft. This rim, those transitions, those surfaces are really too soft. If I go here and enable my picture, they're not really that soft. They're something like a boxy shape with a nice bevel on it. Okay, so what I want to do, I want to create additional loop here. So I'll go to my line tool, knife tool, sorry, happy accident, and I want to create a cut. I have to deselect all for that cut. I want to put it somewhere really close to this initial cut. So I'll cut it somewhere around here. And if I enable my hypernerves again, you will see I have that shape more defined. Okay. So now I can, for example, scale this object more, and really from a reference picture I have to make adjustments. Okay, so I would probably select this and pull it a bit outwards, and I would, let's say, cut this once more just to have more detail, just to be able to follow this shape more accurately. Okay, and I would also select this ring of edges and simply connect them all, and you see I've changed this one and this stayed the same. Okay, so now I'll show you that you basically select this loop here and this loop here, and I will simply fill the rest and I will delete it. And also I can select only this. Okay, so for example, if I select this loop, I can just use one side, and this will look a bit crazy to you, but there is a nice tool inside Cinema 4D, and it's called a symmetry object. So put this under symmetry, so holding the Alt key down, and now you have the advantage because you can work on a single side and the changes will reflect on the other side too. Now what you want to do now is to get this spoke perfectly, this area here perfectly, okay, because you can clone this spoke radially without any problem. Okay, and you see there are a lot of straight points. Just select them all and run functions optimize. Okay, and they will be gone. So for example, in the reference picture these spokes go down a bit, so we'll have to account for that. Okay, so for example, let me just put my modeling axis here in this area, so that would be Z. Okay, and now this opera we can pause this a bit. Okay, I'm not trying for this spoke to be perfect. You will work that shape to a perfection, and then you will clone it. You will simply make that cloner editable and connect all the geometry. For this outer part, it's really a cylinder, and you can create a cylinder with amount of subdivision that will suit this. Okay, and that is a simple matter of connecting. You already know how you do holes, but don't do holes at first. Just do this inner part. So simply collapse all points, pull them down, and work your shape slowly You can even model this, I don't know the English word for this, but this part with the logo, you can even model that separately, and this little, what are these, some screws, you can model them separately also, okay, along with this guy here. So I hope this will help you in your modeling process, and let me show you another example.